Let me guess, you're an expectant or new puppy parent and you're getting ready to fly with your puppy for the first time in cabin. Maybe feeling a little overwhelmed and intimidated by the whole process, and you're looking for somebody to walk you through exactly what to expect from A to Z. Well, here you go. This is my complete guide to flying with a puppy from somebody who was in your shoes 3 years ago and has since flown with a lot of puppies and learned a ton. I'm gonna go through everything from booking your flights, preparing your puppy, what to expect on your travel day, and what to pack. We're gonna cover it all. I'm gonna give you all my tips and tricks so that you can have a travel day as smooth as mine. Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Sarah. I am a dog mom and dog enthusiast, and I am here to share all about my life living with my dogs and how to live well with our furry friends. The first step in flying with a puppy is finding your flight, which arguably to me is the hardest part of this whole process. So if you can get through this, you can probably get through your travel day. The first thing you need to think about, and my very biggest tip, my biggest takeaway that I hope to impart on you, is to minimize your travel day to the extent possible. Well, what do I mean by that? I mean that sometimes it's a little bit easier to drive with your puppy to an airport and fly direct to a different airport and drive again than it is to fly and have long layovers with a new puppy. So using myself as an example, in November of 2020, I flew for the first time with my first puppy, my 10-week-old Finnish Lapland Ray. We flew from Indianapolis, Indiana to Sacramento, California to visit my family, except that we didn't actually fly to Sacramento. We flew from Indianapolis to San Francisco because we could fly direct and have a 4-hour shorter travel day than flying from Indianapolis to Sacramento and have a layover. The drive time between San Francisco and Sacramento is only about an hour and a half, so we were able to let her out and potty way sooner than if she had been flying the whole day. So sometimes it's gonna be in your best interest to do a bit of driving to avoid some flying and avoid a layover, and I highly recommend that. Now, if you can't avoid a layover, that's totally fine. I've flown with a layover, it's no big deal, and I'll go through how to navigate your layover later. But you still wanna choose the flight path that gives you the shortest travel time where possible. So on my return flight with Ray from Sacramento to Indianapolis, even if I had flown out of San Francisco, I couldn't have had a direct flight, so my options were either to fly through Dallas or through Denver. My flight path through Denver saved about 2 hours of flying time and layover compared to that Dallas route, so I chose the Denver flight path. It was slightly more expensive, but the $25 was negligible to the 2 hours I would have spent flying. So once you've got your airports established and you've chosen which airports give you kind of the shortest travel time, you'll want to look at the airlines and which actual flights you want to take. Now, kind of the problem here and where I can't exactly hold your hand through this is understanding airline pet policies, and that's because they change constantly, and I don't want to put them in this video and then have them go out of date and be confusing to somebody. So how you're going to find that out is you're going to look at your travel path. So let's say you're flying from Chicago to Seattle, and there's quite a few airlines that do that route. So you're going to compare, let's say, United, Alaskan, and Southwest. You're just going to type in your airline pet policy into Google, and you'll be directed to the airline's pet policy, and you're going to want to confirm a few things. The big things that airlines tend to differ on are what age can the puppy fly at. So that might be 8 weeks, it might be 10 weeks, it might be 12 weeks, and it might be 16 weeks. If you're flying with an 8-week-old puppy, you can only look at airlines that allow 8-week-old puppies to fly. If you're flying with a 10-week-old puppy, you can fly on an airline that allows 10-week-old puppies or 8-week-old puppies, and it doesn't really matter. The next thing you want to check is price. There's a pretty big price variance depending on what airline you choose. I think the cheapest at the time of me posting this video is Southwest. It's $95 each way with a puppy. Most airlines are typically in that $125 range each direction. So take a look at that. And then you'll want to see what documentation is required when you fly with that puppy. So some airlines require proof of vaccines. Some airlines require a health certificate. If so, they usually require that those are done within 10 days before your travel. And some airlines require permanent identification on the puppy. Usually that's only international flights. I flew from Paris to San Francisco this summer with the puppy, and I did have to confirm her permanent identification. So just be on the lookout if you're flying internationally for that little stipulation. So once you've found the airline, you're gonna wanna go ahead and book your flight as you would normally. The only difference is when you're booking your pet's flight, you may either have to use the chat option on the website or call them. If you have to call them, I want to warn you that you may be on hold for a long time. This summer when I was flying with Cove, I was on hold for 4 hours trying to book her flight, and it was kind of a nightmare. So have some patience, put on a movie, do what you need to do to get through that. Some airlines do allow you to book directly through their airline booking system with a pet, but most do require that you reach out to them separately. Usually you will not pay for your pet's travel until you check into your flight, and I'll go through that later when I talk about navigating your flight day. You want to book your pet's ticket as soon as possible. Once you've confirmed with your breeder what day and time you're picking up your puppy, I want you to go and find your flight ASAP. When I was flying with Ray, the reason that I couldn't fly direct home from San Francisco back to Indianapolis was that they were sold out of pet tickets in cabin on my flight. So I had to choose a different route. So if you can, book as early as possible to avoid having any surprises in terms of capacity on the flight. You've got your pet's flight booked, you've got your flight booked. What's next? Next is preparing your puppy for your travel day. Now, most breeders that I've experienced will go ahead and introduce your puppy to the airline carrier for you. Here are some clips of Cove's breeder introducing her to the airline carrier at about 8 weeks old. You can see she's just going in there for treats. Chewy's breeder also did this for us and does it for all her puppies who are flying without even asking. She just exposes her puppies to that, and it's wonderful. When I was flying with Ray, I was flying with her at 10 weeks and we picked her up at 8 weeks. So I had 2 weeks to prepare her. And if this is your situation, here's exactly what I did. When I could tell that Ray was naturally getting tired and ready to settle down for a nap, I would put her into the pet carrier with something super high value that she only got in there for the first 2 weeks. So that might have been a bully stick, a beef tendon chew, a Kong, a topple, a licky mat, something high value and special that was kind of soothing to her while she was in the pet carrier. Then she would go in there, she would do her little chew, and then she would take a nap. And when she woke up, I would take her out and we would resume normal life. And we did this every day for the 2 weeks leading up to our travel. Another thing that I did that I found to be really helpful was I'd put her pet carrier in a spot where she could see it, smell it, and go into it if she wanted, anytime she kind of wanted. So for us, I use something called a puppy apartment. You can check out my other video on that for all you new puppy parents. And she just had that open in there anytime, and she would even choose to go in there and sleep from time to time because I had associated that this is a place where you go be calm. So Ray traveled like an absolute angel. Like nobody even knew I had a pet on board. When I pulled her out from underneath the seat, people were like, "You have a puppy?" I'm like, "Yeah," and they were all super excited. The same thing happened with Cove when I flew with her. Nobody even knew that I had a puppy with me on our 12.5-hour flight. They were just shocked that she was quiet the whole time. So it really does pay off if you can find a breeder who's willing to do this exposure for you, or you have the time to do it yourself. Exposing them to it versus just throwing them into it is a huge, huge, huge advantage for your travel day. So let's go through your packing list for flying with a puppy. We'll start by going through the puppy bag, and then we'll go through my carry-on. So I'm gonna just set this to the side for now. This is the Sherpa Deluxe in the size large. I believe that it's about 19 by 11.5 by 11.5. It is pretty compressible, so you can kind of get away with it even when the airplane is a bit tighter than that. I love this bag for a couple reasons. First off, it comes in at a decent price point compared to many of the options, and it's held up super well. We've flown puppies, cats, and the like in this, and it continues to hold up really well. The zippers are great and very high quality. I love that it has a long shoulder strap to make it more comfortable, and it's got a great functional outer zip pocket. So we'll go through what I keep in here first. So the very first thing I do when I'm flying with a puppy is I replace the Sherpa insert that comes with this with something called a dry fur pad, and I'll show you that in just a sec. So this is the dry fur pad. It's a little bit dirty because Cove flew in this. And all it is it's kind of a hard liner. It's super absorbent. So if your puppy does end up going to the bathroom in this, it's gonna be totally absorbed and contained and not go everywhere. It also has these little walls which function perfectly if it's in the size of Sherpa. It's also pretty soft, so it's comfortable for them, and it's moisture wicking, so I really love it. I've used this on every single flight I've had with a puppy. However, if you do not wanna buy these, I think it's about $20 for 2 of them, so they're a bit more pricey. What you can do is you can take puppy pads and wrap them around the Sherpa liner. I would do 2 to 3 layers. That way, if you have an accident, you can go ahead and take one off and you still have a pad underneath. Puppy pads are also a little bit less absorbent than these are, but that's totally a fine option if you don't want to spend the money. And so we'll put that back in there. Assuming your puppy doesn't use it, you can use it for future uses. So this one has now been used actually for 2 different dogs, for Chewy and Cove, and it's fine. Since neither of them had an accident, we'll continue to use it. On the back of the bag we have, or the front of the bag, I guess, depending, I keep a roll of poop bags and hand sanitizer for me. And then this is where I keep some of the things I would need in the event that I couldn't get to my carry-on. So the first is a little battery powered fan. I was kind of skeptical of this, but it actually works really well, and I used it for Cove just to circulate some air when we were waiting on the plane before it took off. And you can hear it has 3 modes, and the top mode is pretty powerful, and it just circulates air if you need it. Great little $10 fan from Amazon. Next is the harness. This is the one Cove came with from her breeder. I love this style of Y-front harness. It's the only thing I use on a puppy. I like the balance harnesses. That's what I use for my puppies, as it can grow with them quite a ways before needing to buy a new one. Next, I have a collar and a leash. I'm not going to show my phone number. I use boomerang tags, and these collars and leashes are from White Pine Outfitters. It's where I get all my puppy stuff. They're super affordable, high quality, and they're great for furry dogs so that they don't cause dents in the fur. I love these. I've been using them for years. And lastly, I just have an extra roll of poop bags. Next up is my carry-on. This is the Bagoo Cloud Carry-On, and I absolutely love this thing. I find that I can fit more in this than a traditional like hard-sided roller bag. If you're flying with a puppy, I do recommend flying with a roller bag in general. However, my roller bag was a bit too small to carry some of the stuff, so I used this. I love this bag. So we'll just go through top to bottom. This is the Puppy Essentials bag. I use these packing cubes from Amazon. I have them linked if you want them, but we'll go through what's in here. So I always bring a few toys. If you can, look for toys that don't have squeaks in them. This was one, a little strawberry that Cove's breeder gave her. It doesn't have it does have a squeak. But I always bring a few toys. This is a silicone pop-up bowl. I love these things. I've had some of them for now like 4.5 years, and they still hold up and work great. It's easy to use. These are my favorite full moon chicken treats. They're, I think, called like the chicken patties or something. I cut them up super small, so they're perfect for a puppy, and all my dogs are obsessed with these. Next up, I have a Kong, and sadly loaned my puppy Kong and Kong fillers to a friend who's flying with her puppy. So this is an adult size one, but make sure you get the appropriate size. And I get the little ziggies that come with them that fit right in here. And it's a super great enrichment in the airport or plane if you need it. These are the Nature Gnaws beef tendons, and these are my favorite puppy chews of all time. They're low smell. They're soft enough for puppies to actually get through, but they're hard enough that it's gonna last a while. I buy these on repeat. I actually have them on auto ship because I like these so much. Last is a few days worth of puppy food. Usually your breeder is going to provide this to you. This is from Cove's breeder, and I'll use this to transition her to her new food once she gets here. So this is my puppy mess bag. This has everything in it I need in case there's a mess. I like to feel prepared so that I don't feel panic, and this is exactly what I bring. So first up is Ziploc bags. Again, if my puppy does have a mess, I want to be able to seal the smell so that I don't inconvenience other travelers. I always bring quite a few paper towels, again, just to clean up if necessary. In this bag, I have kind of everything I would need in case of worst case scenario. So I've got mini wipes of Clorox. These are my favorite wipes for cleaning my dogs on the go. I don't just use them for this. I use them when we're camping or traveling. These little wipes are great. And then I've got a alcohol wipe, and a hand sanitizer wipe for me, just in case. Then I have 4 puppy pads. This is what I used for Cove. We were there overnight, so I brought a few extras. I used them in my puppy playpen that I'm about to show you. I also used them in the hotel because we stayed overnight with Cove. And then I have an extra dry fur in here just in case. We were traveling for literally 24 hours. If there was ever gonna be a time where a puppy couldn't hold it, I figured it was gonna be this trip, so I did bring the backup with me. This is my packable playpen. I'll show you how to set it up. It's super easy and it packs down super small. This fits in most standard size carry-ons. This thing was a lifesaver to me when I was flying with Cove internationally. So this thing was great. If you're gonna be spending a night in the hotel or you have like really long layovers, I honestly can't recommend this enough. Now that we're home, I plan on using this for other things, socialization, dog shows, just an extra crate, soft crate to have around. It's wonderful. I love this. Then in this packing cube, this was all my extra clothes. Even if you're just doing a flight to go get your puppy and a flight back the same day, I highly recommend bringing an extra outfit just in case. I was flying to Paris in the summer, so the weather was really nice. I brought a pair of pajamas, an extra outfit, an extra t-shirt, and undergarments, of course, for my trip. This thing was such a lifesaver for me and I thought it was such a gimmick. I saw this thing all over my social media. It's called a turtle. It's a neck pillow, but it's super small and it fit perfectly in my bag. I recommend this thing. It's probably not the most comfortable, but it definitely got the job done and I was able to sleep on both directions of my flights the whole way basically. So I super recommend getting a neck pillow. I love this one from the brand Turtle. Okay, this is what I call my ditty bag. So obviously we have my passport. I put all my travel documents in these RFID blocker bags. I think that these are the brand Samsonite. Brought my Kindle. I'm a big reader and I read so much more having my Kindle, so I brought that. And then in here I have various other things I might need. I brought a comb, Advil, some chapstick, my AirPods, a few little essentials like Pepto, some extra face wipes, hand sanitizer wipes. I brought, this is another face wipe. My chargers I put all in here, an extra sample size of my moisturizer because it's so dry on the flights, a dental flosser, and an emery board, and that's pretty much it from there. Having everything you need for the flight kind of packed individually in a small bag that can fit in the seat back pocket is super important because your carry-on is going to be up above when you're flying with a puppy unless you're flying with a second person who can have it under their seat. But I love this little method to keep everything that I would need with me kind of instantly at my seat and then everything else up in the overhead storage. Okay, again, this was an international flight, so I brought compression socks, some face masks. These are all my toiletries for the hotel, and I use these on the flight as well because I had an overnight flight. So toothbrush, toothpaste. One of my biggest travel hacks for all types of travel, not just traveling with a puppy, is to use contacts cases for your small toiletries. So again, this was basically like 72 hours of flying for me. So I have my face wash and face cream in here, a little sanitizing wipe since I did do this in the airplane bathroom, and I brought some shampoo and conditioner samples for the hotel in case I didn't have any. But they did, so I didn't use it. And lastly, this is my secret weapon for traveling, is to bring a massage ball. This one is super lightweight. I love to put this thing against a wall and I use it to roll out my back, but you can also use it for your feet and anywhere else that feels kind of sore. So that's everything I brought for spending basically 72 hours in France. Oh, and my wallet, which I didn't show, but I would hope that you would bring that. And I hope that this was super helpful. Being prepared is the name of the game when you're flying with a puppy, which is probably why I'm a little bit more on like the prepper side of this than the go with the flow side. You don't have to bring all this, but this has always led to me having a really smooth, easy travel day and me not feeling anxious in case something does go wrong. I feel prepared. The day is here, you're getting ready to travel with your puppy. How does that day go? I'm gonna walk you through exactly what I do. So you're gonna arrive at the airport 2 hours before your flight because you need to check in person. You can't do it ahead of time. You need to do it in person. So an hour before you get to the airport, it's time to cut off food and water for your puppy. Before you leave to drive to the airport, you need to find a time to take your puppy on a walk, 15 to 20 minutes, so that they can hopefully do their business in their last normal setting. Then once you arrive at the airport, I want you to take another 5, 10, 15 minutes, however long it takes, to walk your puppy around and see if they will potty. Most airports have some sort of grass or landscaping where you can walk your puppy around before you go inside, and I would definitely take use of that. Then you'll go to the ticket counter and you'll check yourself and your puppy in. This is usually when you pay for your puppy's flight, and they'll review any documentation that they need to. They also may weigh your puppy and take the dimensions of your bag. I've never had them weigh my bag or take the dimensions, or heck, I've never even had them check my health certificate or vaccine records when flying domestically, but these are all things they are very strict about when you're flying internationally. So if you're flying internationally, be aware that they will most likely measure your bag and weigh your bag before you get on the flight. Once you've checked in, you've gotten your ticket, your puppy's all paid for, it's time to go through security. If there was ever a time to get TSA pre-check, this is it. I promise you, it is such a time saver when you're flying with a puppy and navigating, getting them out of the carrier. You don't want to be taking your shoes off. You don't want to be taking liquids out of your bag. This is the time to be efficient. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your puppy out of their bag. You're going to take their collar off, their harness off, their leash off. They need to be naked. You're going to walk with them through the metal detector, and their bag is going to go through the x-ray machine. You don't want the puppy to be in the bag, obviously. You need to walk them through the metal detector. They may swab your hands here. They may not. I personally have not had them do that, but it is something they sometimes do with people going through with pets, so be aware. Then you'll get your puppy, you'll put them back in their bag, and it's time to go find a quiet corner of the airport to decompress. So once you've found a quiet corner to kind of settle down and hunker into until your flight, there's a few things you can do. But the number one tip here is to keep your puppy awake until you get on the plane. This will help make sure that they're actually able to sleep on the plane if they are tired when they get on the plane. So whether you are comfortable walking your puppy around, make sure you check and that's okay with the airport rules. It kind of depends airport to airport. Or you want to play a game with your puppy. Maybe this is the time that you start introducing a little bit of tug around people, or even playing a quiet game of treat catching, treat chasing. You just want to kind of keep them a little bit busy. I always give my puppies time to just observe the world around them and reward them for engagement or when they see something new. This is your first chance at kind of socializing your puppy, and they're going to see a lot of things they've never seen before. So it's a great opportunity to reward good behavior and reward confidence and engagement at this time. If you see your puppy starting to show signs that they might need to go to the bathroom, such as circling, sniffing, whining, you've got a couple options depending on your situation, but never take a puppy into the pet relief areas designated in the airport. These areas are gross. I know firsthand. I would never even take an adult dog, but I would absolutely never take an unvaccinated puppy into one of these areas. If you brought that puppy playpen with you like I did, what I did is I just put a puppy pad in there. This worked really well for Cove. She actually went right on the puppy pad in there when we were on our layover in Lisbon, and then she was able to get on our 12.5-hour flight, and she held it the whole time. But before I had the playpen, what I would do is I'd go into the family restroom and set some puppy pads down on the ground so that it was easy to clean up. Most puppies aren't going to know what to do with the puppy pad unless your breeder has specifically puppy pad trained them, but it does help in the cleanup aspect if they do need to go to the bathroom. So take them in there, put some puppy pads down, see if they'll go. This is why I always bring Ziploc bags, which will go over in my packing list, is so that if they do go, especially number 2, I carefully fold up the puppy pads and then put them into the Ziploc bag so it doesn't create smell for other travelers. If they do have an accident in the airport, it's no big deal. Just do your best to clean it up and try to keep them on hard surfaces so it's easy to clean up versus carpeted surfaces, but it does happen and it's nothing to feel bad about if it does happen. So now it's time. Your puppy has hopefully had some activities to do, whether that was play or watching or walking around. They've hopefully gone to the bathroom and they're now tired and ready to get on the plane. This is when I give them the chew that I brought for them, or the Kong or whatever you're gonna bring for them, put them back in their bag, give them their little chewy, and you're gonna board your flight. Once you're on board, they're not supposed to come out of their bags, so it's essential that you kind of keep them self-contained. If your puppy is really fussy, you may wanna just try dropping treats in via the top of the bag. If they're really, really screechy, usually the flight attendant will let you take them and their bag and set it on your lap. But again, they're not supposed to come out of the bag. I'm super lucky. I've never had a problem with my puppies. I think that this really speaks to how much exposure they've had before getting on the plane, but if it does go south, just do your best to keep them calm. Even just putting your hand in there and petting them a little bit may help them settle down. But hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully they're an angel. And again, even flying internationally, my puppy was an angel with a chew toy and stuff. And if you do have a layover, you're just gonna wanna repeat the process, taking them potty first and then letting them observe or play or walk around and then putting them back in the carrier, giving them the chewy, and repeat the whole thing. Once you're at your final destination, you'll want to book it out of the airport and find somewhere for them to potty. Even if you've had a short flight, this is a long time for puppies to hold their bladders and bowels, and you want to give them that opportunity to go as soon as you land. This is why I always recommend flying with just a carry-on and not checked baggage whenever you can when flying with a puppy. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that it helped you and it helps you feel more confident going into your travel day with your new puppy. I am so excited for you. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave them below and I will respond to all of them. I am here for you guys. I know that this can be a stressful time and I want to be the most help I can possibly be. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing, and we'll see you next time.